to those that have gathered tonight in this Macon inauguration of National Action Network, certainly Brother Jackson and certainly Apostle Ross. I thank the head of our Atlanta office, Tylee Spate, for introduction, and Reverend Toon for presiding, Damon Byam from our national office. But first, I thank God for another day. A day that we neither earned nor deserved. A lot of folk get up in the morning like God owed them another day, or like they did something to earn another day. But I don't care how saved you are. I don't care how holy you look to us. I don't care how pious you may appear. All of us have done enough wrong that any night we sleep, if God just checked the record, none of us would see the next morning. So every day is a gift from God. That's why I try to get up every day and do something to show God that I'm grateful that he gave me what he didn't owe me, but gave it to me anyhow. Then I'm happy to be here in Macon as the head of our southern region. Reverend McMichaels has said that National Action Network, we are moving all over the South now, forming chapters. Many of you know of our work in New York and Chicago and other places. But as today we're in Macon, tomorrow night I'll be in Savannah, and on. Because everywhere we go, we need to re-energize the church in fighting for social justice. Now, one of the things that is always humorous to me is how people react to you coming and don't even know why you coming. If you go by what people say, you would lose your mind. And they've got all kind of stories out as to why I come to Macon and why National Action Network come to Macon, other than to open the chapter and to look into matters that have been reported to us. Now, if matters are correct, then folks shouldn't be upset. And if folk are upset, it only makes us wonder what they're upset about. My mother's from Alabama. I was born in New York, but my mother's from Alabama. My mother had an expression that if you throw a brick in a group of hogs, the one that holler is the one you hit. See, I wasn't from the country, so I don't know nothing about no hogs, but she said the one that hollers is the one you hit. So the ones y'all hear hollering tomorrow about me in town was the ones I hit tonight. Because I ain't told nobody why I come to town other than to preach and open the chapter and just look into some matters. It's strange to me when Brother Jackson, Apostle Jackson here, reported to us a lot of stuff going on that seems to be guided on one side of town. So we on a fact-finding mission. That means either everybody on the black side of town, y'all was born wrong and distorted and all of that, or there is the lack of fairness on how they handle all sides of town. You know, like we deal a lot with police brutality. I don't understand why around the country, we just left Atlanta, they convicted a cop on the case of the 92-year-old grandmother that was killed in her house. They convicted him today of lying, acquitted him on obstructing justice and not performing his government duties. And we're going to deal with that in Atlanta tomorrow. Now, what is interesting to me about that is if you say he lied, but he was doing his job, are y'all saying that his job was to lie? I mean, I don't understand that. We got to meet, I mean, if he lied, then he must have not been doing his duty. But these things only happen on one side of town. And what we've got to do is we've got to stop allowing ourselves to be afraid to stand up and raise questions as to why there are different strokes for different folks. Now, that don't make everybody white bad, and it don't make everybody black good. But it does mean we have the right to ask the questions. And it does mean we have the right to look into what is being said and why it's being said and state our position on it. Now, there are going to be some people talking about, well, I don't care, we need to do it a different way. Well, what way? The only way we've ever made progress is standing up and raising the right questions and fighting by what we believe. If we didn't raise questions, we'd still be in the back of the bus. If we had not had people fight, you would not be working where you're working. Don't act like you got where you are by yourself. The reason you live where you live and work where you work is because somebody stood up. And now a few of you got a piece of job and a piece of house. And you want to act like something wrong with those of us standing up while you are relaxing on the couches that we laid out for you. And if we don't keep fighting, they're going to take it back from you. Now, if you scared, say you scared. Don't act like something wrong with us. Just say you scared and sit down and shut up. And don't get upset when somebody ain't scared. Stand up and say what need to be said. Then some preachers tell me, Jackson, well, you know, Al, I stay in the book. Well, what book? I read the book. Everybody God called, he called to stand up against the powers that be if they were wrong. God made Joseph governor, which was political. God used Moses to challenge Pharaoh. God used David to challenge Goliath. God used Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego to challenge Nebuchadnezzar. God used Daniel to challenge Belshazzar. Why can't God use Al Sharpton to challenge George Bush? We must challenge if things are wrong. People say, well, times have changed. No, the calendar changed. But we still got problems. We're in a war that we should have never been in. I ain't talking about 68, I'm talking about today. We have a president that saw weapons of mass destruction in Iraq that was not there, but couldn't see a hurricane in New Orleans that was there. We have been engaged in fights from Gina, Louisiana, to New York, to Atlanta, Chicago. These fights must continue. And if we need to fight in Macon, we'll fight in Macon.